On October 4th, 2025, a quiet night in downtown Indianapolis, a confrontation between two men turned violent. One of them was a food delivery driver, the other, a former NFL quarterback and television analyst, Mark Sanchez. Within minutes, the argument escalated into a physical fight. A weapon was drawn, and by sunrise, one of America's well-known sports figures had been stabbed, then arrested. This isn't just a story about violence. It's about ego, alcohol, celebrity, and how a few seconds can change everything. Before this night, Mark Sanchez was a familiar face, not from police reports, but from Sunday football, a first-round draft pick, a promising start with the New York Jets, a player who led his team to 2 AFC championship appearances before injuries and inconsistency cut his career short. After football, Sanchez rebuilt his image, becoming an analyst with Fox Sports. Clean-cut, professional, a guy who seemed to have left the chaos of the NFL spotlight behind. But fame has a way of following people, even when they think they've escaped it. It was early Saturday morning, around 12:30 a.m., when police were called to the wholesale district in downtown Indianapolis. According to the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department, 2 men were involved in an altercation near Senate Avenue and West Washington Street. Witnesses reported shouting, pushing, and then a brief scuffle. When officers arrived, both men were injured. Mark Sanchez had stab wounds. The other man, reportedly a delivery driver, had cuts and bruises. Both were taken to the hospital. But here's the twist. Sanchez wasn't just treated. He was arrested. Police charged him with 3 misdemeanors: battery resulting in injury, unlawful entry of a motor vehicle, public intoxication. They called it an isolated incident, meaning this wasn't random. These 2 men didn't stumble into each other by chance. Reports suggest it began over something ordinary, a parking dispute. Sanchez allegedly confronted the delivery driver about where he'd parked. The driver, feeling threatened, reached for pepper spray. Then things spiraled. Somewhere in that chaos, Sanchez was stabbed. Police haven't confirmed exactly who started it or whether alcohol played a role. But according to the official report, Sanchez appeared intoxicated at the time of the arrest. Now, let's unpack what this actually means.
These are misdemeanor charges, not felonies. So we're not talking about years in prison. But still, they're serious enough to affect his public image and professional career. Battery with injury suggests police believe Sanchez physically harmed someone. Unlawful entry of a motor vehicle may mean he tried to open or enter the delivery driver's car during the altercation. And public intoxication speaks for itself. Sanchez has not been booked into jail because he's still hospitalized. Prosecutors in Marion County will now decide whether to move forward, drop the case, or file new charges. So right now, everything is under review. No convictions, no formal indictment. Just the facts we have, and a lot of unanswered questions.
The internet moved fast. Social media exploded with shock and confusion. How does someone go from TV analyst to stabbing victim and suspect in the same night? One fan wrote. Others defended him, saying Sanchez must have been trying to protect himself. On X, old teammates sent messages of support. Some asked for privacy. Others demanded the full story before judgment. Fox Sports has not released an official statement yet, but according to reports, executives are monitoring the case closely and waiting for clarity before making any decisions about his on-air role. For now, Sanchez's reputation hangs in the balance between sympathy and scrutiny. Let's strip away the headlines for a moment. This story isn't just about one celebrity's bad night. It's about how small confrontations can escalate when emotion, alcohol, and ego collide. Think about it. A parking disagreement, a few angry words, and suddenly, one man's in the hospital and another could face charges. Situations like this happen every weekend in every city, but this time, the person involved happens to be famous. And when fame enters the mix, everything changes. For the police, it becomes a public case. For the media, it becomes content. For fans, it becomes gossip. And for Sanchez, it becomes a story that could define him for years. The bigger question is, what really happened in those few minutes before the stabbing? Was Sanchez the aggressor? Was the delivery driver acting in self-defense? Did alcohol distort judgment on both sides? Until that video evidence is released, no one really knows. Here's what to watch going forward. 1. The Marion County Prosecutor's Office will decide whether to move forward with the case. 2. Police may release surveillance or body cam footage that could clarify what happened. 3. Sanchez's medical condition will determine when he can make a statement. 4. And finally, Fox Sports may have to decide whether to suspend or retain him while the case develops. Until then, the truth remains partly hidden, somewhere between eyewitness accounts, police paperwork, and public speculation. Mark Sanchez, once a rising NFL star, now finds himself at the center of a very different kind of story. Not one written on the field, but in a police report. Was this a moment of self-defense, a lapse in judgment, or simply a misunderstanding gone too far? Only time and evidence will tell. If you want updates as this story unfolds, make sure you subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. This is Civil Echo, and this was the Mark Sanchez incident. What really happened in Indianapolis?